Hey everybody, welcome back. You guys know what it is. It is time to watch some X's for Show, your premier media response show. What we are mostly responding to right now is TK playing some fun games. I'm Nico. You guys can check me out at Nico Action, NICO.
And I am the aforementioned TK at TK Elemental.
And that makes me your producer, KEVO. You can find me at KEVO Really. I'm loving these. These are a lot of fun. So I'm glad we decided to do one.
I do want to just apologize. I thought I would have something really fun and interesting to talk about today. I thought I would get to excitedly talk about seeing Nosferatu, but instead I got deeply distracted at Goodwill for a really long time. I love going to our local Goodwill shop. It's super great, and I love what they do there. And
What'd you get?
The giant new monitor that I am broadcasting from behind.
It is pretty big. Oh, you're gonna love it.
Hot older boyfriend had to build like wooden shelving and enhance my desk and reinforce it, and so now my desk is like 3 times the size. But it's.
I'm jealous. We don't get that kind of. Okay, here's what I'll say. My Goodwill has the great cookery.
No, none. Nope. We have cool signs and cool technology, but we actually had to bring our own wires to test it and stuff.
My Goodwill, this is what used to happen with my Goodwill. So the cycle began when we took over the bed and breakfast, and it came with the owner's bread machine. And I was like, fuck this, I don't need a bread machine. And I took it to Goodwill, and I gave it to them. And then within like 2 weeks, I was like, oh, making bread's kind of laborious and stupid. I'm going to get a bread machine. So I went to the Goodwill and got a $10 bread machine and used it really religiously until I was like, no, I'm a serious baker, man. Bread machines ain't for me. And so I took it to the Goodwill and I gave it to them. And I started baking bread and I realized, no, I really like the bread machine. So I went to Goodwill and I got another bread machine for $15 that I used until I was like, no, now for real, I'm actually very serious. I have to get rid of the bread machine. And then I got rid of the bread machine. And that is the story.
I actually really love that story because I genuinely love all Goodwill stories.
I only wish it had been the same bread maker that you took there. Like that would have made it a little bit more.
It would have been even better if it was the same one every time. But I know it went to. They each went to good homes.
Okay.
I am a big proponent of like upcycling stuff in that way. Like I love giving stuff new home and a new life. And like it always really blows my mind when I go to any of the really cool used record stores around here. Like Princeton Record Exchange, when that was a thing I used to do, or any of the other number stores, like getting to go to some of the awesome stores up in Maine with you. When I find something that I'm like, oh wow, well, this is actually a rare find. This is a fucking steal. At our Goodwill, I found a mixer that goes for like $380 at Guitar Center for like $120, and so like I almost bought it. But I said no. But no, I did not make it to Nosferatu because we got distracted by shopping at Goodwill, and then we had a Costco lunch, and so
Did you get chicken bake
for dinner? We have chicken bake, and it's going to go in the oven for dinner.
Did you get the live one, or did you get the packaged one that they have?
Live, and then we're gonna put it in the oven and cut it into sandwiches.
Okay. I really respect a person who does not go get the chicken bake and eat the whole thing as they're walking out the door, like I do every time. Every time I get one, I go like, I could eat a bite of this and then take it home and bake it up later and have little sandwiches, and that would be like a reasonable meal. And then I'm like, no, I'm at the car and it's gone.
Same. Yeah. It's like I
300 feet from that food center to the car, and in that 300 feet, I will have unhinged my jaw like the anaconda from the movie Anaconda and swallow Jennifer Lopez, the chicken bake whole.
And the problem is they're too fucking good.
Yeah.
And
that is in fact the problem.
because okay, hold on. This is one of those things. I had a friend, and I say I had a friend, and it's not that I no longer care about this person, but you know when you like detach from a person for the sake of your sanity because they're awful. I had this friend one time who was like, I just can't stick to a diet. And I was like, oh, that's really terrible. I get that. I've had the up and down weight journey. I get it. When stuff tastes good, stuff tastes good. And they replied, yeah, if they didn't want it to be so delicious, they shouldn't call it Chipotle. And I was like, that makes no sense. Just fuck yourself. That's really stupid. But like chicken bakes, it's in the name. It's a chicken bake. It's perfect.
It's chicken
perfect
and they
toe.
baked it.
And like I know this
and
sounds
it's like this baked cheese crust on top as well.
That
like,
really is actually my favorite part. That is,
it's so many
where
elements.
stuff gets good. But we're not Costco guys. We don't have to talk about this.
no, but I mean,
No.
I'm really glad we took a minute to talk about chicken bakes.
We're open to a sponsorship by all means. But,
we could dethrone the Costco guys and the Rizzler if Costco wanted to.
What have I said? You're over a certain age. You do not say Riz.
I said Rizzler.
Andrew likes it.
And apparently in French they call him Le Colis Mieux, which is just so French. Anyway, I wanted to just point out that in the grand tradition of Overwatch, the game we're stealing everything from, Marvel has already done away with their winter Christmas stuff and are moving on to Lunar New Year.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yes, and of course they haven't done away with it. Just right one row below, we just got the Venom and Ilyana ski costumes, which are fantastic. I'm still thinking about this group one. I can't really justify paying $16 for these Lukes, but I would probably do it for a good Cloak and Dagger one. But yeah, we're starting the Lunar New Year looks, and we've got this gorgeous Squirrel Girl number.
I actually just want to say, on the subject of Lunar New Year, the unbelievable Lunar New Year and Festival Lego sets came out.
Oh, nice. I saw those at Costco.
I got to see them at Costco today, and as we're walking in, I like screamed and I stopped in the entrance, and Rich was like, are you okay? And I was like, you don't understand. And so then as we're leaving, we're walking out, and this child is walking in with his grandparents and goes,
guys, oh look, the set is out. I have to stop and look at it.
and Rich was like,
So you.
and it was very full circle.
I love that.
I think Squirrel Girl looks. For also just like Marvel Rivals, way to make Squirrel Girl thick. I don't know why. Who decided this was a necessity? It was, but we never do this.
To be honest with you, just what you're talking about, like these beautiful skins and stuff. It's actually why I've dropped a bunch of games, because I have to pick where I spend the money. Because you're right, these are so beautiful.
Yeah. Hold on, I want to let the whole animation go. I mean, come on, that's beautiful. I really like this Moon Knight look. I'm so bummed that the damages are getting so much of the stuff, because I will not be playing as Moon Knight or Squirrel Girl, so I won't get those. But yeah, we've got these gorgeous Lunar New Year looks coming out, and of course, on Monday we are getting the announcement, or the official trailer for the entire Fantastic Four coming to this game, which I was not expecting to get all four. That's pretty nuts.
I can't imagine them not doing all four anymore. I have this sort of like realization on a couple of parallel levels that we have the unfortunate difficulty that we've entered an age where character modeling has to do with understanding the bigger picture. And so because Fantastic Four have to all look correct together, but by the time the next thing comes out, they're going to want it to look like the next thing. They all have to be released at the same time because they're not going to engage the idea of unrelated looking Fantastic Foursers.
I mean, the Fantastic Four is a really important example because exactly that. Like they have to all come out and look like the Fantastic Four. Eventually another New Mutant is going to come out, and it's not really going to matter that it doesn't look anything like Ilyana.
Well, and I hope for Ilyana's sake that's because she's getting the look. Like, you know, we make jokes about it all the time, but Bobby didn't get the X Factor costume permanently. Hank didn't get the X Factor costume permanently, and Warren didn't. They were so afraid of leaving them in the X Factor costumes permanently that they deformed them and disfigured them and made one of them gay, and then ungayed him and made the other one gay. And so then you get to Scott and Jean, and they keep putting Jean in and out of that costume, but the person who stays in it all the time is Cyclops. We thought for many years that Cannonball would be heir apparent to the New Mutants training costume, and then we thought it was Danny Moonstar, but the two of them keep getting more interesting upgrades. Ilyana needs something to default into when she's not in the coolest outfit of all time, aka her armor that will eat you. So I think like I would love it if this is a transition to making her heir apparent of a unique look.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see with all of the New Mutants characters, because they don't have to necessarily be the New Mutants as we know them. You know, Psylocke is not the Psylocke of the X-Men as we know her. She's the Psylocke of Demon Days. And so there's every chance that the next time we get a New Mutant, it's not going to be anything, you know, related to this Ilyana. But I think you're right insofar as the Fantastic Four would always have to be the Fantastic Four. And I'm trying to think of other teams where it's like that. Like, I guess if they ever put Power Pack in the game, Power Pack would really all need to be Power Pack.
The all new, all different kids. Which I'm not okay. Did you fucking see this? Did you fucking see the information came out for Free Comic Book Day?
I did. I didn't read it though.
It's an all new team. It's an all new, all different team going by the name All New, All Different. And it features Wolverine, Kurt, Colossus, Rogue.
All plastic, not the least bit different.
And they're fighting Cyclops. It is literally telling us to stop giving a shit about the current run. And just like that it really has me. And I didn't mean to change topics because I really wanted to point out something.
No, please. I was just kind of mooning about the costumes.
Well, actually, I wanted to comment on something you'd said the other day in a conversation we'd had a couple of weeks ago. For those of you who don't know, TK is like, you know, the coolest, bestest guy, and wants to make sure that I have gaming access at all time and help me get myself all gamified. So I've been like really super diving into games, like hardcore. I have logged so many hours on Arkham Asylum. I should be sent there. And I play a lot of Crash Bandicoot naked. And so the main thing I realize is that means I kind of need to drop some of my mobile games. I don't have the capacity to do all of this. And I maybe don't have the capacity to go back and play 3 hours of classic Super Mario Brothers on my Switch a week. And not that I have in a long time. It's not pandemic anymore. You know, I have things to do. So, but the game that I find myself unable to, like, I'm already kind of giving up on DC heroes versus villains, even though I find myself a little bit more involved in the DC universe than ever. I'm on a really cool reading project I can't wait to tell you a little bit more about. But one of the other things is that I'm devoting more time to Marvel Contest of Champions than ever.
Yeah.
And so we know exactly who the vote is. And
yeah.
Yes. It is Hellcat, but classic Hellcat, which is really cool. I kind of can't believe she wasn't already in the game.
Is there a non-classic Hellcat?
There's
Isn't she always in that? Isn't she always in that yellow look with the blue?
But there's Patsy.
Isn't Hellcat Patsy?
Right, no, but I mean, it's Patsy, like from the MCU.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Like Hellcat from the Alias show, Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
It's Elektra as Daredevil, which will be fascinating because then that's the second Elektra and the third Daredevil.
Yep.
which puts him in like fucking Captain America and Spider-Man category
Yep.
for upper echelon badasses. Good job there. You know what? I got to be honest. Mr. Knight being on the list kind of bothers me. It's so insane. It tells me that they are really going to be doing more with this character. But Kevo, so you know, Mr. Knight is. Oh no, you do know because you loved the show with us. Mr. Knight is one of Moon Knight's personalities.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Except also, he kind of ended up not being at a certain point.
Yeah, and this is the suave one from the Jed MacKay comic run.
Like, isn't there just another guy who dresses in suits?
That's Hunter's Moon.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's another available character to vote for.
Yes.
Then
there's the Shroud.
Well, there's Kid Power Man that I love.
Yep.
From the Fred Van Lente Power Man run. Then there's the Shroud.
And he was also just in the new Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Colleen Wing, who again, the daughter of the dragon, wasn't already in this fucking game.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because Misty Knight is in the game. I feel bad, but I'm actively voting against Colleen Wing at this point because there's other characters I need first. I'm more angry at MCOC for not having put her in before this.
Yeah. And then it's Echo, who,
yes,
like, you know, one of the most beloved characters from this show ever.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to see MCOC, who, by the way, also, MCOC has gotten rid of every daily event they have ever had and replaced it with the one super daily event for all of the times. And they have said that starting in March, there will be buffs.
As there kind of should be.
Like bonus points for using this, extra points if you do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This is a very interesting era for this game. MCOC, not Rivals. That's an interesting era for Rivals too, but MCOC is clearly not giving up. I keep expecting them to be like, yeah, we had a good run, but we're folding. And they really innovate this game and this gameplay and making sure it stays kind of valuable. And it's funny because I'm looking at something like Rivals, which is a NetEase game, and I'm very worried that in 2 years I'm going to be in the middle of playing this game that I love so much, and they're going to be like, yeah, we're just pulling the plug. We're just done with this. Oh, I forgot to change my settings, and now you can see my other green screen background.
Well, we've actually been wondering if there was an aesthetic choice. Kevo and I have been secretly talking about it the whole time. We have not stopped talking about it. In fact, this answers a question for us. You didn't do it on purpose, and we're going to log this in our book of secrets.
That all sounds right to me. Wait, why am I don't want this guy's highlight. Get out of here.
So I've continued my Rivals journey. I will say that, like, when you get good at a character, it's really tough. Like I remember when I was in, I think it might have been like, I was in 11th grade jazz band, and they were like, oh, it's really cool that you know how to like play chords by rearranging your fingers close together instead of like moving up and down the piano. That's cool. Do that more. So then all of a sudden I'm detoxed and I can't stop moving my jaw funny. And like, I am just constantly playing the chords exactly like that and never any other way. And like, you know, they're like, okay, dude, but do you have any other tricks? And I'm like, no. And like, so that's kind of how I've gotten to be with Wolverine. I am really strong with Wolverine. I'm pretty strong with Captain America. I'm drunk in a library that doesn't contain any books in a language trying to use Storm still. So we'll see if that ever changes. Oh, my favorite person's here. Hey, Tori Sheehan. Tori.
Hi, Tori.
I just want everybody to know that Tori is actually a super genius and is a stats queen like none other. And Tori and I have one of the most exciting projects of our legitimate life coming your way soon.
But is she a baby genius?
Tori had a statement earlier saying when you were talking about Fantastic Four, saying we need a Fantastic 40 as a future corp, and I wanted to ask, has that been done? I assumed yes.
Yeah, they've done like a Fantastic 400. Like everybody who's ever been a
say.
Fantastic Four member showed up. But what I really enjoy way more is a Frightful 14. A Frightful 14 does it for me in a way that very few things can. You're like, oh, it's just the wizard. Who cares? And then you're like, no, it's the wizard and 13 nut jobs. I'm in.
Well, and I was gonna say it's especially evil because it's like 13 and then one more.
Yeah, and it's usually the wizard.
We also have Fantastic Five, the horrible MC2 situation,
and Fantastic Force. And there was also a book called Fantastic Four Unplugged for a while.
And then, of course, we have Unstable Molecules. I thought Unstable Molecules was so brilliant when I was a freshman in college.
The J. Michael Straczynski reimagining?
The one where it's just like real people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so hold on. I see Andrew say the wizard who can't read the Grimmery. That is very funny. I love that.
She doesn't even go here.
You know, it's really funny. I'm so tough because I tend to think musicals are a really great idea, but no musical will ever be as good as I want it to be. Very few exceptions. There are very few musicals that can like go far enough into the psychology of the characters for me where I walk away being like, I'm never going to stop thinking about this. Wicked is such a surface musical. It's just basic. Like it's like it's like the magic flute. It's like for babies. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's for babies. Yeah.
No, I mean it's literally taking a children's level fairy tale and making it kind of like adult and like haha risque. It's the Once Upon a Time of Broadway.
But the movie is, I've seen Wicked on Broadway 3 or 4 times, and like I'm not like, excuse me, but like I'm not being a dick. I've seen it multiple times. I saw it with Adina. I saw it with Kristen. I'm very lucky in that regard, so I'm not being like a Johnny come lately. No, I actually thought the movie was like a lot better than the musical in a lot of ways. I was really impressed. I feel like there are. Oh my God, Hook is daddy. Shut up. That's so funny. I have all the stuff to cosplay Hook. He is like one of my favorite TV characters in the history of television ever. Once Upon a Time Hook is literally flawless in every way. Big fan.
Except for all of the flaws.
They make him more beautiful. But I don't know. I think like it's really funny because I feel when you talk about maybe like Daredevil season 1, you're talking about something where people loved the work so much that the actors get a lot of credit, but I sometimes think the creative team doesn't get enough credit for writing a literal perfect season of television in Daredevil season 1. I think, God damn, I think that might be one of the first times I've walked away from a film going, those were the 2 best movie performances of the year, and yet still the director did a better job. No, this is the first time I've said that since Brokeback Mountain. This is the first time. Like, I remember being changed by the cinematography of Brokeback Mountain. I remember thinking the way this book is like, it's 19 pages. It's like it's an afterthought. It's something you read in an evening when you're by yourself and really sad about things. And you go to see this 2-hour and 20-minute movie, and like the way he purposely captured the nothingness of a train going by with nothing in the background, and yet it says everything about what the characters were going through. It's why I care about art. It's why I care about cinema. And like I got Brokeback Mountain vibes from Wicked. I like literally thought it was that important a take on what it is. But I kind of think like if you don't give a shit about Wicked, then don't go see this movie because it's not going to change you at all.
I think that's true in most ways of Wicked itself, though. Like the original, well, because I said, insert GIF, because I said this for Hook. But yeah, I think a lot of people can read deeper layers into the play, and that's fine. I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I'm anxious to laud too much praise on it because I think it's going to depend on how they stick the landing. What's part 2 going to be?
I'm still just stuck in thinking Ariana Grande is completely evil, which just makes it impossible for me to enjoy.
I'm a little bit more frustrated that they've announced the date for Wicked 4 Good, but I haven't heard anything about Wicked 2 Good to see it, and Wicked 3, you haven't seen this one yet. I don't know how
you're going to make jokes, but don't push them to make a Wicked 3 because they might.
They'll just do Son of a Witch, and it'll just feature additional tracks.
They won't do that. They're going to do something new and weird.
He did another... Gregory Maguire did another...
4 more.
Oh yeah, it's a whole universe now, and in fact, he just came back.
Oh no,
and
I meant he did like
more.
another fairy tale. Like he did like another...
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did Cinderella and he did A Christmas Carol, but there was no magic and something else.
Wait, how did he do A Christmas Carol with no magic? It's just ghosts yelling at a guy.
Maybe everybody faked their death.
Someone learns that they are the supposed descendant of the basis for Ebenezer Scrooge.
You say basis?
Yeah, but it's like a psychological thriller instead.
Basis, not basist.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
so
sounds
this game
terrible.
where this match we're in is going really badly. Half my team is not playing. They're just like hanging out. The other team has us stuck in spawn. Yeah, this guy, me Hulk Smash, just is not playing. We had another guy leave.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I do something a little bit terrible. Every now and then when I'm in a match and I notice that somebody isn't doing anything and they just kind of keep respawning on the map because it's like a Jeff match, I just keep finding them and killing them. And I know that's not cool, but let me explain why. If you're not touching your controller, unless you're going to call me and tell me about the medical problem you had, I'm not going to...
Yeah, I mean, whatever. At a certain point, like, this guy is okay. Oh, now he's in it. Now he's decided to play. Thank you for joining us, sir. It's quick play. It doesn't really matter, but there's also like games like this really, what they illuminate about the human condition is so fascinating to me. Like, the fact that nobody wants to play support in this game and then complains about the people that do play support. This is something we've talked about in the past, but also like that people come into quick play and don't kind of give it their best, meaning that like somebody who's just trying to like, not play competitively, but just have like a fun game where they try hard.
Someone's trying to play.
Yeah. The fact that those people don't get to enjoy it. And then at the same time, like, some dude on Reddit was pointing out that like he, his son plays this game sometimes, and like his son's really bad because he's 8, and he gets sad because everybody yells at him. And part of me is like, yeah, that sucks. But another part of me is like, don't let your 8-year-old play this game. Hold on, I really gotta kill this Captain America.
Yeah, every now and then I'm like, listen, I'll just give up a bunch of lives. I'm going to destroy you because you are the world's most annoying Scarlet Witch. I'm going to hunt you down, and I'm going to keep stabbing you in the head, like I know Logan wants to do. I hear what you're saying about like maybe the 8-year-old shouldn't be in the game full of adults. It's tough.
I wish there were like age leagues, and like you couldn't. I mean, the problem is, of course, like American parents wouldn't pay attention to the fact that their children were playing in the wrong age league, but like kids should play with other kids.
I genuinely love the kismet of you saying it specifically that way, the American parents. We were just talking about the kerfuffle that is going on specifically in our country because of the Hulu Disney Plus merger. And so some of the banner ads are in places that parents don't like them for shows like Night Bitch. And NICO made the very good point of they don't have problems in different countries because they've always had Hulu and Disney Plus merge. They had Star.
Right.
And so I love you being like, yep, but it's, American parents don't want to pay attention to what their kids are doing and then want to complain when something happens that they don't like.
Right. And, it just like, it would be the simplest thing in the world to have a parent, like to have a parent's login for a game like this. And are we about to have 4 supports and 2 that would be really funny. It wouldn't be hard to have like a parents have to have an account, and then a kid gets a sub account. We are having 4 supports and 2 damages. Wow, that's gonna be fun. But American parents so many of them won't do it. And so, 8-year-olds wind up playing with a 40-year-old. And I get it. It's not the 8-year-old's fault that he's bad, but like, it does kind of mean that I'm just having a worthless game for no reason. And I only have so much time to play this motherfucker. So yeah, I mean, like, I get getting annoyed.
I don't. I mean, well, I do and I don't.
You just said you do. You just said
no, I want to take it back. I don't get caring about annoyed parents.
Because I don't care about the parents.
Coming from a legal standpoint, if you put that is a thing and it is available in a place like an end user agreement and it is done in a good faith way, if there is like the way that when you sign up for a streaming service, it says click here for a kid's account, right in big letters, then I kind of don't care if American parents struggle with it and other countries' parents are doing great because legally it's covered and so it's never going to be a problem. And so like one of the things that like you're stupid isn't my problem anymore. And like I don't think everybody should have to pay for that, but I do think that does mean that then we need to work as a culture to avoid the stupid. There has to be a way to put an all ages button on, like, cause if a dad doesn't care if his 8-year-old gets yelled at, then well, then who cares? But I
mean, I would say like the only reason I care is because I don't want to play with the 8-year-old. He doesn't understand strategy.
Some don't, but there are 8-year-olds that are like,
it's true, and there are 40-year-olds that are borderline.
Are also, yeah. No, I don't think that you are in that category though, because you've said the same thing to me, where you have felt frustrated, where you are playing to play, and you've experienced people who are like, I'm not putting any effort in, and you're not looking for people to be perfect, but it's what TK was referring to, where it makes it difficult to gauge level of engagement with the game for the people you're connecting with.
And like, I know that it's really funny because TK, I hear you saying that like you wouldn't want to play with an 8-year-old. I would rather play alongside a terrific younger player than
a shitty adult.
Yeah, because like I'm not putting anybody on the spot in any way, but like, you specifically would not enjoy playing with my play style, as you've said, despite me being like your friend and an adult. And so like, there's a lot to be said about the way that I think, like, there are people who don't like playing Pokemon against me because I'm a status king. First of all, you're going to sleep. Then I'm going to use Dream Eater. No, I'm not sorry. Yes, I'm going to put you back to sleep as soon as you wake up. No, I'm not sorry. Yes, I'm going to use Fly and Dig. Again, my level of sorry, non-existent. And so like, there are people who don't enjoy playing Pokemon with me because I'm like I said, I'm a status king, but like that is just like play style as well. So it's always so funny because like, to me, when I play this game, every single person is one of my former students and their parents. And like, I just sort of block out that there is a human being on the other side of the account.
I think I think you have the right idea. And I'm the fool that's taking it all too personally.
No, I don't think so, because like, I know that when I'm playing Battlegrounds on MCOC, there are times I want to write the other person a letter and just be like, here are the ways you choosing to make this match go the entire 100 seconds just to lose anyway has deeply inconvenienced my day. I know that I won. But what I want you to understand is that the way you lost frustrated me. Let's have a conversation about it. So, like, I get it. There are games that people take too personally.
I'll tell you what, I don't think I'm breaking level 4 of gold for Battlegrounds this season.
Really?
Yeah, I have trouble, man.
I think I'm platinum 4 right now.
Yeah, I can't break gold 4.
Admittedly, I have, I think, 11 7-stars now, and so like 10 7-stars, and so like and one of them's unlocked, and so like or duped, you know, so like it's unreasonable, because the difference, it's so fucked, like it's so fucked, and like I mean this like really seriously. Like I want you guys to think about the and not you guys on the show because you guys are tired of hearing me, but the audience, I want you guys to think about the nature of power creep. Something that happens when you say this thing that you know we couldn't do before, now we can do because we've gotten this power up. One of the things you wind up doing is you wind up scaling things in a really dramatic way. Like, so talk about Power Rangers for a moment. They needed the dinosaurs, and anything above that was something that Zordon prayed to never need ever again. And so then when the only thing that can stop this person is this power, and then they need this upgrade, you kind of want to be like, but then isn't Zordon irresponsible for not calling in the Shogun Zords in the first place, which could have squashed Rita before Zed ever had a chance to come back? And so like there winds up being this weird dummy power creep that winds up happening with some of that at times. And so I think that one of the things that winds up happening when you keep making things bigger and more powerful than every version before it is, it just sort of winds up nerfing your feelings on the original.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I think that even proved to be true as the series of Power Rangers and franchise went on, to the point whereby the Zordon era, we started seeing the Red Ranger Mega Power Up, where Andros, as the Red Space Ranger, got that thing with the wings and the missiles, and then as far as I'm aware, that started becoming like the whole team gets a super power up, and then the leader also gets another extra on top of that, and it's not, you gotta keep pushing, so it's tough.
And I feel like when you're talking about universes that go on as long as like the Marvel universe goes on, as long as the DC universe goes on, you wind up in a situation where how do you stack some of these characters against each other? How do you take the sum total of everything the Scarlet Witch has ever done, put her in this video game? And so I feel like that's maybe where they had the right idea with Sai, like a little bit more than a lot of the other characters. I almost wonder how much stronger this would have been for being wholly multiversal.
It is wholly multiversal.
I'm so sorry. I wonder how much stronger this would have been for being wholly multiversal, where a bunch of the characters weren't just identical iterations of their versions from the comics or the movies, and like represented unique ideas for the characters in larger ways.
I think that's really tough to pull off in a game like this where you're never doing much story exposition. I agree with you. I would like to see it. And it's like, it's the thing I was saying where like, I really legit loved Overwatch for the character stuff. I really liked the cinematics. I really liked reading about the lore. I was also a huge like wiki fan of Overwatch just because I found all the stories and people's origins really interesting. But I will say, I think ultimately I found that most fans did not care at all about all of the interesting character work that they were doing. And I think it would be even tougher here to explain like how this Wanda was different than another Wanda.
Yeah, it's it's always one of those things where, like, I know I made the comment about Wicked earlier, but like, I've never understood why people aren't putting a little bit more work into shaping out the idea of a musical. Obviously, I'm speaking from a privileged place of, I think everybody that walks into a Broadway theater has the money for a cell phone by virtue of they had the money for a Broadway ticket. But that's me deciding how people are going to spend their money for them. I think we're at a point where you could literally tell the audience to scan the QR code in their playbill for more character information. When Rent opened, there was actually a character map in the playbill, not in the program, in the free thing you got when you walked the fuck in, that said, Benny went to college with Mark. And it explained these things. It explained their relationships and what's going on. And it had these arrows, and they would update it to be the current cast. So, like, I know that there is a lot that would automatically be lost because nobody bothers reading. But I think if you made it engaging, you could get people to do it. Like, think about how excited the whole world was about those stupid QR pages in all of those X-Men issue 1s. They stopped doing it.
No one was excited about those.
I gotta be honest, man. I think people were like, oh no, but did you scan the page out? Did you see it? Like, there was discussion. And
there was discussion, but nobody liked it.
I hear you, but also see a lot of places copying it, so there must have been positive feedback somewhere.
I think it's one of those things where, like, an exec scanned a QR code menu and was like, this is the most genius idea I've ever seen. And I mean, like, like I said, I would be happy if they did that. And, like, you know, like, I mean, every single hero here has a lore page, and they're not, unfortunately, updating them very quickly. They all were open during the beta, but like, this is stuff I would be perfectly happy to read. And so, like, this is a really good example because this is a Cap who was thawed in 2099,
which explains the, you know, technological shield.
Right, exactly. But like, you're also right insofar as, like, does he really look that different from any other Cap? No. And like, his voice lines aren't really different than they would be, you know. It's not like Avengers Assemble 2099. It's just Avengers Assemble, which of course it is. But like, all of the mutants are from Krakoa except Psylocke. They are technically, and like, Namor is really Namor, but it's obviously not MCU Namor. So like, they are multiversal, but they're also so recognizable so that nobody will ever have to go dig into those lore references. And it's just an interesting thing. I don't know that there's a better way to do it. Like I said, I would be really happy to go in depth about what universe every single one of these people is from and why it's different and why that matters. And I'd love to see them have really different looks and like really different voice lines. But I think they're just kind of too scared to do it.
And it doesn't help that things like the Thor looks a lot like King Thor from the end of the Aaron run, who is technically not our Thor, but the idea of a Thor that we recognize as a person that stands in for Marvel Comics Thor at any given time, that he is multiversal, that gets tough. This just looks like Wolverine in some sexy clothes.
Yeah.
Well, and this is funny too, because it does look like Wolverine in some sexy clothes. Our Wolverine would never wear this. Wolverine would never wear, I mean, he might wear this kind of, and this is just his outfit, great beard, but like, our Wolverine would never wear this, and yet according to the lore, this is essentially Wolverine in 2022. And like, I just really quickly pulled this one up, and it's literally talking about Fred Dukes being the bartender at the Green Lagoon. Like, this is just the Krakoan era, which is again funny to me, because it falls into this thing that we talk about all the time, which is like, when did they know they were ending this? Because they fully had to commission this game a while ago and write so much of this stuff. And it seems like at that time they must have thought they weren't going to be ending Krakoa for a while, but then within a year they decided they were, and at that point all of Rivals had been written with all this Krakoan lore for these characters and all of these Krakoan voice lines.
And not to be like the old drunk man at the end of the bar screaming about nonsense, but the fact that we are standing on the other side of Krakoa, having been faced with the idea that they could have done so much more and they didn't, and then we can see the amount that they did with this property in other genres and other mediums and other avenues. The fact that there are novels that exist in the Krakoan oeuvre, that there are video games that constantly reference Krakoa. Rivals and Marvel Comics and Marvel Contest of Champions have regular references to Krakoa that you cannot find in Marvel Comics anymore. And so I just sort of find myself in a really interesting place where like this notion of big, right? The bigness of multiversity. I don't ever think that Gotham by Gaslight could have overtook the real Batman universe. But we are living in a world where Miles Morales is just as recognizably culturally important to a generation of people as is Peter Parker.
Can I liken Marvel stuff to Doctor Who stuff?
Of course.
I mean, of course.
Something that I read in response to the Doctor Who Christmas special, and just in general for where Doctor Who is at right now, and that they said that they hoped would soon be dealt with in a good way. By the way, comment from Jake. Such an interesting preservation of that Krakoan moment in these media. Yeah, and that's even what I'm speaking on, is the fact that Krakoa is like an intrinsic thing now. And I wonder if an intention of making it now such a big thing but destroying it is, I really fear for Krakoa that it is going to get a treatment that Doctor Who has given Gallifrey that I'm really starting to find tiresome. And I think for mutants, it would be to continue on the underlying concept of them being persecuted and nothing can ever be okay for them because they're minorities. And for Doctor Who, it feels like they fell in love with this concept of him being a loner, of him being, he loves saying the last of the Time Lords. The creators love writing that line now. And so it feels like they keep going back to that well. And I've said on our comic broadcasts that I really fear they, rather than evolving the concept of how mutants are viewed and what they are entitled to, they're going to keep going back to that well. So I would hate for them to bring back Krakoa, but we know that there's just a timer on it, and eventually it's going to fall again, and rise again, and fall again, rather than trying to evolve this status quo.
Yeah, it becomes one of those things where it's a question of like, is this just the nature of serial media, or is this the nature of dudes running out of ideas?
The same dudes over and over again, too, because part of this issue is I'm talking about Russell T. Davies and Stephen Moffat coming back again after 10 and 20 years, and it's the same thing for Marvel Comics, where it's a lot of the same guard just doing the same thing over and over again.
And part of what I'm left asking myself is the nature of how we engage with this evolution and this idea of change. In the course of human existence, you understand that we can't do anything about people. People have their trajectory, and that's just what it is. But when it comes to fictional characters, people who jump into a fictional character later on, that might be their golden age, and they might think of a time they read that everybody loves. Like somebody might have started at the Morrison era and then gone back to read Claremont and thought it was garbage. And like, that's fine and that's fair, because for them, their golden moment was Morrison, where they came in. And then they might go back and read Roy Thomas from the 60s and think it's brilliant. And there's nothing wrong with that iterative version of how you engage with something. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Tori Amos records up on my wall. And, I came into Tori Amos fandom realistically at Strange Little Girls Scarlet's Walk, which is 2001, 2002, when she had been like a thing since 1992. But she became part of my cultural experience around 1997-ish, 1998. I started to be aware of her and started to buy her records. And it was just that Strange Little Girls was the first record that I was vaguely live for. But so for me, I think about how I came in really late in fandom because I came in at her really her 6th record, but now Mama's got like 15, so I came in pretty early in fandom. And so when I think about the glory days of Tori Amos, I think about like On Scarlet's Walk, and I think about a lot of pianos, and I think about these tours that like classicists think are blaspheme to say are classic. And so then, you know, when you're talking about stuff like Krakoa, there are going to be people who are like, oh my God, I started reading now, but did you read 6 months ago as they were winding down that Krakoa thing? Wow, that time was crazy. I'm going to go back and read more of that. Oh, look, it's in Rivals. For us, it's like Rivals it's a mocking us with its vestiges of Krakoa. But there is a grand possibility that there are some people who are going to come into Marvel Comics a la Scarlet's Walk and are going to be looking for vestiges of Krakoa in other places.
Yeah.
And a really funny thing is, like, you brought up not being a fan of Claremont, which was 100% my experience my first time around. Is I came a little later and I wasn't really aware that like Claremont was considered classic, and I just kind of thought of it as old people comics. And it's really funny, like that just is going to be the case with Krakoa no matter what happens. Like even if Krakoa was the greatest era and should be their status quo, like no matter what, somebody's going to be like, that Jonathan Hickman, that fucking old man. I don't care about the old man era.
No, not that era where the old man told a bunch of the old man who had nothing to do with X-Men before this.
Right.
Came in and started telling some legends what to do, and then brought in a bunch of newbies who all left right after him, because that's the other thing we kind of need to think about. The John Hickman crew of people, they are all gone. The only Hickman era person still wagging his wang at us is Ben Percy, doing it behind the mask of some vaguely related to Wolverine titles that aren't even technically Wolverine titles anymore, with Helverine and Deadpool and Wolverine, which are as related to what is going on in canon as my shoe is to my microwave. They're both in the house, but they have nothing to do with each other.
I do love that metaphor.
So, I don't know. I feel like seeing so much of what we love about, Krakoa, about classic X-Men in things like Rivals is really exciting. But until I feel like this is more than just the ever-evolving cyclical nature of the lack of realistic boundary expectation across multimedia from a single company, I'm just left kind of confused. You know, it's... Kevo, you had such a great point about how The Office, while I'm sure there are examples, and I'm sure there is some officeanista, I don't even know what the fans call themselves. I don't know. There's some gym wannabe out there who can't wait to, actually really hard about this. But
they should call themselves officials.
Oh, I love that. It's great. There are so many Office deleted scenes that get referenced on the show that a good number of them are canon. But as you pointed out with that amazing example of the season 5 into 6 Parks and Rec situation with Tammy 2 and Jam, where they're put together in the finale in a deleted scene of season 5, and then by 6 and 7, thank you, they're together in a season 6 deleted scene, and then it's a whole different way they got together in season 7 when they show up. So those deleted scenes clearly aren't canon. You wind up in a position where how much of the bigger picture matters anymore? How many stories that we interpolate into this? Because there are people who I'm sure hate season 7 of Parks and Rec and decide that the show ends at 6. And they might even love adding in those deleted scenes because it gives Tammy 2 an end to her story in a way that is kind of fun for Ron. So and there's nothing wrong with that. I know that for me, there's a plenty of ways that in my brain, the X-Men universe ends with Krakoa at a good place. It ends at like the first Hellfire Gala, maybe.
The way we see people react to Haley ending up with a Dylan on Modern Family sometimes. It's a sitcom in the first place. Let's all relax. But yeah.
And so that's, I think, part of what's so exciting about the iterative nature of comics that we're so focused on it. We watched the season 17 premiere of Drag Race, and I'll just admit I went in obsessed with Asbury Park's own Crystal Envy. There's one place that I feel like sounds like me if you just close your eyes, and it's just standing on the boardwalk in Asbury. We're good. And so Crystal Envy, having been Miss Paradise, having gotten her start at the Empress, obviously going to be in love with her. And Corey King has everything I look for in a human being. Hey, Mama. Hey. I know you said you like blue eyes. I've got a blue-eyed husband, so you can borrow him. But then, hey, blue-eyed husband. And so then the thing that I was really impressed about is how much Susie Toot took my heart away last night. I was so pleased with what I saw from her. And so I just wanted to put out there that I'm a big Susie stan, and I will write you as much music as you want, Mama, call me. But the thing that I really loved was seeing that Joella had a movie Scarlet Witch tattoo. Corey King talked about being a former manga artist. The nerdery, the obscene way that superhero myth has become culturally evident in the development of important creativity is so exciting, because there are people for whom Gotham by Gaslight is where they learned how cool steampunk is. There are people who are going to discover Krakoa through Rivals, and that's going to bring them to Krakoa in comics, and that's going to teach them about stories about minority groups creating their own minority worlds. And it's interesting because this might be an Overwatch clone, but somebody who's tired of Overwatch that wants more gameplay might play this and then discover something exciting as a result. I'm not saying that anybody saw Joella's performance last night and decided to give this newfangled singer Katy Perry a try, but it is really exciting to know that Megami being covered in Pokemon and Cardcaptor Sakura tattoos isn't anomalous. We're seeing...
No, I'm sorry. I stepped on your... Stop.
No,
it's not important for the joke.
We're seeing this transformation, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that things like Rivals are taking chances that sometimes feel unordained by the priesthood of fandom, but we kind of have to give it that room to bring somebody like Joella into the fandom and get her that awesome Scarlet Witch tattoo, because that's a step towards seeing these stories live on forever.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Congratulations on going up. I saw that you were at level 25 earlier. I'm seeing level 26 now. Very exciting.
Yeah, right. Although I'm worried this is a bot lobby game. Let's go find out. How'd I do? Oh, I did not do that great. Okay, so that's thing one. Although I did have some good kills. I had most KOs. Okay, so there's that. But okay. Yep. So everybody, if you're listening and you play Rivals, this is a thing we got to talk about. Marvel Rivals is putting you in bot lobbies if you lose 2 games in a row. And what that means is every single other person that I just played against, it was a bot. That is why I can't view any of their careers. And then 2 of the players on my team were bots. Let's see who it was. Probably not. Maybe this person. And then, yeah, the Mantis was a bot. Can't view her career. So it was me and 4 other people playing with. Oh no, it was 3 bots in this one. Okay, so yeah, it's a super annoying thing that Marvel Rivals is doing in Quick Play, or that NetEase is doing in Quick Play, where they're putting you with a bunch of bots when you lose 2 games in a row so that you don't get frustrated and hate the game. I actually don't think this is a terrible strategy to employ if you can opt out of it. I would probably opt in 30% of the time, because sometimes I do just want to not have a losing streak, but it's very annoying that they have not said anything about it. And that they are not giving you the option to opt out of it if you want to. This doesn't apply to competitive. It's just quick play, but it's super annoying and it is killing my experience. So write NetEase and tell them to make the bot lobbies opt in.
Yeah.
Well, and like that is something that I get really frustrated about on a lot of my games where I don't know who I'm playing in. Like I said, to me, everybody I play is just anybody. It doesn't matter. But like, for example, in MCOC, when I know that I'm playing a bot because they have a syntactical name that matches another syntactical name and they have the exact same lineup as another person down to the stats, like it's frustrating because I remember like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, when MCOC introduced Battlegrounds, and at first I hated it, and now, like, you know, you hate doing laundry until you can reach the washing machine. You know what I mean? So like, you hate Battlegrounds until you can do it, and so now you just mildly dislike it. And I remember them writing this message to players to say, if you find yourself losing Battlegrounds more often than not, that's correct. Mathematically, you would, because the people who are great are going to win all the games, and the people who suck are going to lose all the games. And I was like, right, but unless the people who are great are playing 2,000% of the time, it mathematically makes no sense. And so, like, you then wind up in a position when you're like, well, I know that when I'm playing arenas, I'm playing bots half the time. So now you're asking yourself, how much is the game designed to make you lose so you'll put in money? And how much will that interact with your experience? And like, I find that one of the most fucking annoying things about gaming right now. Like, it's why I stayed away from multiplayer games for so long.
And I will say it's really nice because there is no ability to pay to win with this game. It's all cosmetics.
Which is applaudable in its own way. Yeah, make people feel bad about what they can't afford to look like, not what they can't afford to do. I mean, I actually feel bad saying it that way, but like, ability is more important than aesthetics. Thank you for, if you have to make people feel cast about one of them, not make it what you can do.
Yeah, exactly. But I still really just do not enjoy the bot lobby strategy. And it's really frustrating to like feel like you're doing really good in a particular match, and then just to realize it's because you were playing against a not particularly smart AI.
Speaking of a not particularly smart AI, while we've got this going on in the background and we're talking about multiversity, I'm going to say that my amazing best friend down there, this guy who I like spend all my time thinking about because he's so cool, got me super into the idea that even if he wasn't asking me to watch Grey's Anatomy, he was indicating that it was something that could hold his attention like the Marvel Universe does, where it can hold him in hundreds of episodes and keep him very, very busy. I loved that idea, and I know that was something that KEVO wanted to engage with, and I liked a lot of those same writers from other projects, and so we took the dive and we jumped in and we watched the entire Grey's Anatomy universe, all one piece number of episodes in like 5 months. That reminded us how easy it is to just, while I'm working at my desk job, put something on in the background and just give into the fun. Hear what you hear, ask the person to fill in what you missed, just do what you need to do.
And it's the mid-2020s. You can always look up stuff. You can find YouTube clips. You can find Wikipedia answers. You can ask Quora. There's a million ways.
And so I spent the last couple of weeks watching a lot of TV with KEVO. There was nobody in my office, and everybody was like, oh, so why don't you also use vacation time? And I was like, because why wouldn't I just be at work when no one else I work with is there and save my vacation time for when they are there? Why would I want to do everything that would enable me to spend more time with my coworkers? They're great, but it's work. It's not fun workers, you know? It's not co-funners or whatever. Fuck me, but, you know.
Peace.
So I watched, God, Kebo, what did we do? We did all of Lego Holiday. We did an entire season of Baking Masters. We did
Holiday Lego, right?
yeah, we did.
Holiday Lego, Baking Masters. We discovered Is It Cake Holiday? Yeah.
We watched the 6 episodes of Skeleton Crew. We watched a couple of them multiple times. We watched the Doctor Who holiday special, but one of the things we watched was disappointingly What If Season 3, which I'm walking away feeling like you guys produced a season of animated television, and that's cool, but I don't feel rewarded. Also, timescales. I see what you're saying. Timescales. While you're there, I will send you as much as you need, but there are some things I need you to do. So while you're there, if you could please find Sid Highwind from Final Fantasy VII and bring him home to me. The real man, not a toy. And also, Nanaki, if you could find him, that'd be great. I also would love everything Yuna related. I will Venmo you from my limitless account of Final Fantasy toy money that never runs out of funds. It self-replenishes. It's just gill out at the wazoo. It's amazing. I should have said out the Wu-Tai. So I love that you are broadcasting to us from Japan. Thank you so much. Just a really big fan of, as you put in your message, gaming consoles, vintage consoles, and Japanese gaming culture is so cool. But I really did not love What If Season 3. What if Season 2 ended the story? What if Season 3 was a coda that nobody stayed for? It really felt like when they do the orchestrated outro while everybody's leaving the theater. It felt like nobody was staying to listen.
I didn't find it unnecessary or unworthy, but it felt like just more of the same, and that even includes the climactic ending. And if there had been a 4th season, perhaps we would have gotten another Peggy story a different way, or we would have discovered this, that, or the other thing. But after Season 2 especially, like you said, it felt so final, and yet open-ended, yet open for the possibility of more. And I think this showed us the possibility of more was just going to be more. Some of it's going to be fun. Some of it's not going to be fun. It depends on your taste. But it's just going to be more. And I think next year they would have discovered a cabal of evil watchers and had to fight an Avengers of Evil Watchers. And they would have defeated them, and that would have moved on. And then they would have done the same thing in Season 5. And that's fine. I just don't really get what it was adding to the overall narrative of the MCU. The only really thing that it was adding was the fact that it was the original actors when they could get them. 60% of the time, it's the original actors from the movies. Isn't that cool?
Ooh, it added 60% authenticity to a story that no one needed. Ooh.
It didn't really feel... There have been times where we've been caught places where I have seen... like the Disney Channel Marvel Animated Fair. We were at Jacob Thompson's house that one time, and we were watching Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was literally, essentially, an animated adaptation of the Walt Disney World attraction, Mission Breakout, or whatever it's called. And that's weird, but it was a dumb kids cartoon, so who cares? But I feel like we were told, what if is this major thing? And it kind of was, because they built Captain Carter into Multiverse of Madness, and how cool was that? But then what else? And what does it ultimately amount to? It's not that I didn't find it fun, or that I wouldn't have fun watching it again, but it's not part of if I ever do an MCU rewatch. Not even close. He takes a breath.
I'm letting Nico go because I'm trying to.
No, he was letting you go. But if you're playing,
I can't go.
I mean,
right
I
now.
went first. I literally
he's playing
start-
though. Rocket.
Yeah, no. So then you play. I'll
Blair.
for you. Everyone here agrees with me, and no, I think part of it has to do with the fact that like I love holding a mirror up to the idea of a person, but like we make this joke a lot on the show that in the first episode of Sports Night by Aaron Sorkin, part of the story is that one of the two main male characters, and even though there's a number of incredible characters, there are two incredible women, there's a man of color, and there's a skinny nerd.
But the sports anchors themselves, the two male leads.
Right, and that's even the point I'm making, like the two white males that are the people we think of as sporty guys obviously dominate the idea of what we think of the show. One of them is not behaving as he should. And the reason that's so important to talk about in the context that I was giving it is because everybody on the show, especially in the pilot, feels designed to support these two guys. Everybody here is here to support Casey and Dan. And so when one of them is behaving out of sorts, even though everybody else, the other four characters, even though one of them is new, so the other three characters are behaving in line, we're left feeling like we don't actually know this person because everybody just keeps saying how weird he's behaving in the pilot. So I walk away not understanding one of the people who's meant to be 40% of the show. That does not help me understand your show. It helps me understand who someone on your show isn't. When all you do is focus on AU in a project like What If, you are telling us it's multiversal, like I wanted from Rivals. But then what it doesn't tell me is anything about the MCU. It tells me about the MCAU, but I don't gain a greater understanding for a character like Ironheart, who has been certainly denied her screen time in the last couple of years.
Yes.
I don't learn anything about her from an appearance that isn't her than I learned from a fanfic that isn't made by Marvel, because it's still not her. But from that fanfic, I might have learned what somebody who actually gives a shit about Riri Williams thinks, and not perhaps a writer who was lucky enough to be asked to write it. I don't know anything about the person who wrote it, and I'm not making a comment about the person who wrote it. I'm talking a little bit more about the nature of the way a lot of writers talk about, I'd never heard of that character before I was assigned writing their animated episode.
That's kind of Riri's biggest, most heroic moment in the MCU right now, and it has nothing to do with the main narrative or any long-lasting or live-action iteration we are going to see going forward for the character. And that's just weird. I feel like
basically
it was
Jeffrey
intended.
Tambor giving her superpowers. It was very strange. A big old white bald man pushed her.
Intended to get us hyped for Riri, but we still don't even know when that show is coming, and we don't have a huge indication of what her future is going to be in the MCU, except for that one clip taken for a Disney Cruise Line.
We know we're getting the show though, and I am at least excited about that.
We don't know. We believe, and we feel it is inevitable, but they love to zig, because that's even what we're saying. Where's Ironheart? And it's been 5.5 years since it was announced.
True. Yeah, you're right.
I want to believe, but
But you can only mold her so long till you Scully.
I do love to Scully every now and then.
I mean, I think you are a Scully who always wants to be molded in the way you present on the show. Certainly not speaking about who you are as a person, but like the way you present on this show is you are somebody who wants to be impressed, but you are left unimpressed by what you are shown. And I feel like Ironheart is a really great example of that attitude at its core. We're told, oh no, you guys are thinking that we're going to be all just more big white guys. No, here's a black woman, but we're going to hide her really, really hard. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. You'll occasionally see press releases, but don't expect to see the show.
Forever.
And so I just feel like, I'm in a position where What If, so you actually still haven't said what you felt. What did you think about What If season 3?
So I haven't actually finished it. Yeah, I wanted to wait for the last one to come out, and then I got distracted because I started watching the worst show I have ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, I've noticed. I haven't known what to do about it.
I can't.
I want to be like, what person do you care about that cares about this?
Nobody I care about cares about it. The person I care about is Kelly Riley, who plays Beth.
On Yellowstone.
Yes, on Yellowstone.
Oh my God.
Yellowstone, truly Battlestar Galactica for MAGA chuds is what I have.
Even my parents were like, "Look," we're
Which was
past this
already
thing.
pretty MAGA chud, so, you know.
Yeah. It is so offensive. It is so horrible. There is nothing redeeming about it. I can't put it down. But I'm only because it seems like there's a good chance they're all going to be murdered. And I would like to get there. But yeah, just it is meant to reinforce every horrible belief that a white man who voted for Donald Trump has about the world and make them feel noble, and it's terrible. So anyway, that got me distracted, and I didn't finish What If. But you guys didn't mention the one episode I said I liked of the 4 that I had seen. How did you like the Howard the Duck one?
I thought it was a really fun way to spend a lot of time with characters that you knew really well. That was perhaps the most psychological and emotional investigation of Darcy, invalidates our Darcy. I don't want our Darcy back now. I would rather this Darcy. And the frustration is when you do something like this and you give us an episode as fun and as high energy, but now like that's obviously meant to parallel things about Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's the 70s pop song featuring obscure characters in a unique way that refits them to the idea of the story they're telling. I fucking loved that so much more. Their kid winds up so important in the show, and like, I fucking loved it.
It's an expanse in a weird way of, again, an earlier episode where I'm not sure that I'm keeping track of this the way where some universes are now being continued, and to the point where like Party Thor was a very celebrated first season episode. This now kind of supersedes its significance, where the Party Thor universe is infinitely less about Party Thor and more about the fact that this is where Birdie is from, and now I'm gonna wonder where Birdie might come in the actual films, because that's how significant this episode ended up feeling after being a sequel to a season 1 episode.
And who plays Birdie?
Natasha Lyonne.
And what's she about to be in?
Fantastic Four, the first steps.
So one of the most
she is still not confirmed who she's going to be. I said I wanted her to be Alicia Masters because that's fucking hilarious. I'm dating The Rock. But no.
But now I wonder if she's gonna literally play Birdie.
Fair question. Interesting.
Birds love to eat cockroaches. So
I'm here to fix the multiverse for you. No big deal.
Travel.
Free of charge.
Fuck.
Gratis, as it were.
It's challenging because I wanted more from What If and yet less from What If, and so I feel like I'm being the Jason Todd of it. Like I'm like, no, Dick's too capable and Tim's too spirited. I'll just die. And so like I feel like I'm being the difficult one here. We're all just waiting for the Damien, but I feel like it's just the way DC treats Stephanie Brown. Anyway, TK, it seems like you're just kind of sitting on a good old Jeffy boy. Are you feeling rivaled and you're feeling
is I'm not on a hot streak tonight, so I think I'm letting it go a little early.
I love that. I mean,
I've also my glorious spouse, who was sweet enough to join us in the chat, just got home from being away. So
Yay.
Going, we're getting off. Gotta go.
Spending spouse time.
Yeah.
Sounds like they're here to save you from Yellowstone, so much obliged there, Jake.
That's what they think. I think I'm taking them to Yellowstone. No, I wouldn't make them watch it, but I am gonna finish the show.
I'm gonna see if I can how much of Grey's Anatomy I can get through again before the show comes back. We're at the midpoint. We're almost at the midpoint between when it ended and when it's coming back. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's because I go through these a lot. I have to go through these long Grey's droughts. They really should have an interim show. They really should have
So are you saying
Yeah, that'll
you're
be the
so
next
gray? Are you saying when it's not gray, it's your blue period?
God, wouldn't it be funny if there was like an intern like Craig Blue, and whenever
They call no, they have one. Harry Shum Jr. They call him Blue.
do they?
Yeah, it's dumb. They shouldn't, but
Yeah, that actually would be perfect because I would watch a little interim show called Blues Anatomy, where it's just Harry Shum Jr. and he gets the night shift and he just dances in the hallways.
ooh, or
They
he
call
could
it
take
Cold
over
Blue.
he could take over the Miranda's mom's clinic. I don't care what her name is. She's Miranda's mom. That's the name of the clinic now.
I love
I
this.
still think it's the Denny Duquette Clinic. I'm stuck in my ways. I'm an old man.
Well,
Ooh, let's watch Crash Cart.
I can't wait to Negan that idea as hard as possible. But I want to get you out of here. I want to get you off and get you back to Yellowstone, I guess. I have to head back.
But
to
we're talking
Arkham.
some Drag Race tomorrow, aren't we?
Oh, we are.
Yes.
I have a lot of feelings, and I just want to. Kevin might be the most beautiful fucking man in the world, and his music video meant everything to me. And I am such a humongous Monet stan, and I am lucky enough to have seen Monet sing opera. I count myself as a very big Monet stan, and I am so that we were lucky enough to be one of the areas that got the music video. We got a 3-minute full motherfucking music video in place of a 3-minute commercial break. It was so cool. What a nice
did
touch.
not get that on my Sling TV carrier. I just got a lot of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta advertisements.
No, we got that, and then we got a minute-long behind-the-scenes commercial for it. And so, like, it was so exciting. I can't wait to talk about the show, the behind-the-scenes stuff, how great Untucked was last night. Best filmed Untucked in a hot minute.
Love the new room. I want one.
I'm gonna have to rewatch. I did not notice that at the time.
New room, a lot of like.
I did notice
guerrilla
the new
cam.
room. I did not notice that it was good.
There was a lot of like steady cam hand cams instead, and it was very different. But until I get to come back and say that, like, I can't wait to write Susie Toot a trillion songs. Kevo, where can everybody find you on this crazy big wide world until tomorrow when you dazzle everybody with your drag race?
You can find me over on the socials at Kevo Really. That's KEVOREALLY.
You know, TK, I love that you sit here and do the playing so that I can go be bad at playing privately. It's very convenient that you sit here, and I know you'll say you don't do well, but considering your worst performance eats my best performance, it really
I mean,
is
I
one
lost
of
every game today except the one that was a bot lobby. So
your numbers are still better than mine. It's definitely one of those replacement lead singer situations. So I would love to know where everybody can find you if they want to gay all over your play.
you can find me trying to get mediocre at this game at TK Elemental. Also, I kept forgetting her name last night and calling her Sally Farts.
That's
Oh my
fair.
god, Susie Toots, you nightmare.
It's built into the name. She wants you to say it.
I was like, why is Sally Farts? Oh, that's not her name. But why would I even go there? I maybe anyway.
Sally
Nico,
Farts.
where can everybody find you, and what's going on in your world? You making any new music lately that we happen to listen to for like the first half hour of the show? I think that's a banger.
Oh, thank you very much. You guys can check me out at NICO Action, NICOACTION, NICO Action Music, NICOACTION, MUSIC. You guys can check me out all over all of these shows, HTML, X is for show, X is for podcast, etc. But I am going to be dropping some new music. I did 10 new tracks this year for Christmas, and now I'm out of the Christmas move. So you guys can check out some new songs that will be coming to SoundCloud in the next couple of days, some ambient EDM, and we'll see where the fuck we're going after that. But
If you're still in it, there's the music Carol playlist. But otherwise, just check out the rest of his music over on NICO Action.
Well, thank you so much for that amazing plug. And until next time, guys, as always, HTML Husbands Talking More or Less, X is for show, X is for podcast. You guys can check us out on all those socials. But until then, there's 3 things you guys can do for us. Number 1, like. Number 2, comment. Number 3, subscribe. You might not think it's important, but man, does it make a difference. But 3 things you guys can do for yourselves because you mean everything to us. Number 1, you guys got to stay safe. It's a crazy, spooky world out there. And if you're anywhere like we are in the Northeast, it's much too fucking cold. Stay warm. Number 2, you guys got to be brave because who you are is so important to us. But number 3, you got to evolve daily. Who you were yesterday, incredible. Who you are today, amazing. But who you are tomorrow, that's the dream, and we're all here to see it. So until then, stay what? True, North, strong, and United Airlines. Thanks for flying with us, and we'll see ya.